I want to speak to you today about victory over bad habits. Now, we all have habits, and by the way, not all habits are bad habits. There are some habits that are good. For instance, having a time every day where you read the Bible, that's a good habit. Eating every day, that's a good habit. So there are habits that are good, but then there are habits that are very destructive in our lives. And some of you are struggling with those habits in your life, and you wonder, will you ever have victory over them? And I can say to you, God can give you victory over any habit. In fact, that's one of the ways my wife came to know Jesus Christ. I call my wife Tex because she comes from Texas and the state of Texas, and she and I were seeing each other, and one night we were talking together and I was sharing Jesus with her. We were not yet married at the time, and I was talking to her about Jesus and what he could do in her life, and she had this habit, and it was smoking. And she just couldn't quit that habit. She had been doing it for a while, and so she went up to her dorm room that night after we had talked about Jesus, and she pulled out a cigarette and she started to smoke it, and she said, "Oh, Jesus, save me." And at that very moment, Jesus set my wife free from smoking. And from that day on, she's not smoked. And God set her free. God put a new heart in her. God gave her the ability. My brother is another great testimony of this kind of thing. My brother was an alcoholic, and he told me, he said, "Sammy, tell everybody, wherever you go, what Jesus did for me." You see, my brother was an alcoholic, and every day he drank and he drank and he drank. And one day he was driving home, and as he was driving, he looked, and there was a police car with a lights flashing. He pulled him over, and they arrested him for driving while intoxicated, and he was put in jail. And his fellow cellmate in jail was a murderer. And so there he was. I said, "Well, Larry, what did you do?" And he said, "I called on the name of the Lord. And Jesus Christ came into my heart, and Jesus set me free." When he went before the judge was telling him he needed to go through rehabilitation. He said, "Judge, you can send me to rehab, but I just want you to know that Jesus Christ has set me free." And from that day until this day, many years later, my brother has been set free from alcohol. I tell you, it doesn't matter what your habit is. Jesus will set you free. If you will call upon him, if you will look to him, if you will trust in him, he will be your victory. Jesus told his disciples, with men it is impossible, but with God all things are possible. You look to Jesus. You trust in him. You will have victory over bad habits. Trust Jesus.